Thank you. It's a very warm welcome to the unveiling and, of course, the launching of a manifesto that is set to define the future of Gambian football. Hence, why we have so many important people gathered here this morning. It is incumbent upon all of us to know why we're here, why we're doing what we're doing, and why it is that continuity in the name of progress is better than anything that anyone can proffer. Today, we're at a crossroad. We had so many gimmicks, so many cliches, so many naysayers. But the proof of the pudding is in the eating. Gambian football has been climbing very, 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 very high, and it can only climb further. Hence why Team Falconz is here today. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot to be said. You guys are alibis and will be alibis for the years to come. Team Kaba has done his utmost best in doing what has never happened in Gambian football. And this is the trend. This is the trend. Yes, there is a lot to be done. There is a lot to be done. We want to be the best there is in the world, in African football. But we know the challenges we face. This is about being real, being honest. We all have wishes and desires. But this morning, I only have a simple task, is to set the stage. Team Falconz, led by President Kaba Bajo and his executive, which has a lot to say. But it is my pleasure to introduce to you the master of ceremony for this morning's event. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Seh Gay of Capital Radio, Capital FM. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doyen Mr. Cisse. Assalamu alaikum. We welcome you all to this August gathering, a historic and a monumental day. And sometime 4 years ago, at this very place, in this very podium, my humble self was the master of ceremony for Team Kaba. And we were successful enough to get the team elected in a very massive, unprecedented way. And that team steered the affairs of Gambian football for 4 years, and within those 4 years, culminating with very, very unprecedented successes. And with this team, as Mr. Cisse have said, Gambia have scored a lot of successes, back-to-back AFCON, host of coaches that are C, D, C, B, and even currently we are having A license. And the foundation is put in place for, of course, a professional league to be put in place. That plus so many other things this team have attained and have achieved. And for that, we are very grateful and we are saying thank you to this team. And it's a succession plan because if you look at those that are present here in this very gathering, we can be very much sure that work would continue in progress and definitely we would attain more successes and Gambia would continue to fly high in the world of football. And briefly, let's just introduce members of the high table. But before that, let's just do the traditional ways of doing our individual prayers for some few seconds before we continue. Prayers, please. Amen. And Mr. DJ, if you can get us the national anthem, we all rise up for the national anthem of the Gambia, please. Mr. DJ. Let me briefly introduce members of the high table. At our far left, we have, immediate left rather, we have Auntie Aret Njai, who is an executive member of the Gambia Football Federation. Next to her, we have Mr. John Frank Mendy, who is also an executive member of the Gambia Football Federation. We have Mr. Ibu Fai, who is the current second vice president of the Gambia Football Federation. We also have Mr. Jammeh, who is currently an executive member and the leader of Team Falconz that we are here to launch today. And we also have the current president of the Gambia Football Federation, Mr. Lamin Kaba Bajo. And next to him, we have Mr. Motke Sise, who is the Minister of Trade of the Republic of the Gambia. And we have the Deputy CDS of the Gambia Armed Forces, Mr. Said Sise, next to Mr. Motke Sise. Said Njai, my apologies, Mr. Njai. And next on our itinerary, Njai Manglayo, Sise Manglayo Bunjaya, Jegalu. Nane Kamara Kamare Ninkotansi Lulu. Let's have Mr. Honorable Lamin Kaba Bajo to deliver his keynote address. Mr. Bajo is not only our president, but a president of impeccable character, somebody who has not only steered Gambian football to higher heights, but somebody who is very accommodative, somebody who is very democratic, and somebody who is very open-minded and could lead with a very, very calm sense of direction. I can fully remember some time ago, some 12 years ago, when Kaba was designated to lead this team. I had an interview with Ibu Fai, and then he said Kaba was able to do what none of us was able to do, and that is, was able to bring all of us together under one umbrella. And despite the many heavy tides, despite the difficulties, Gambian football sailed and sailed to achieve unprecedented achievements. And for that, we are very much grateful, Mr. President. The floor is all yours.
Okay. Let me not set the precedence for those who follow me. You have a choice to sit down and deliver your statement. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Honorable Minister for Trade, Industry, Employment and Integration, the Deputy Chief of Defense Staff, General Njai, our aspiring GFF presidential candidate, Colonel Musa Jammeh Bala, the second Vice President of the Gambia Football Federation, our big brother and senior, one of the brains behind this team since the onset, Mr. Ibu Fai. Though he's not easily visible, but don't underrate him. He's the behind most of the success that we registered, especially at the competition and technical levels. So John Frank Mendy, member of the Executive Committee, also chairman of the refereeing committee and the president of the Referees Association, Sir John Frank Mendy, a retired FIFA referee, a mechanical engineer by profession, working at the Gambia Post Authority. Our sister, colleague, and friend, Ajaratu Aret Njai, who is also a household name in Gambian football. She is part of the pioneers of women's football in the country, and she has been serving as a mother of the team all these years. Distinguished invited guests, Colonel Sanyang and your colleagues, our big brother, Keba Toure. When I saw him here, I know why. I'm not surprised. I know he's going to be one of the proudest people in this gathering here, knowing the history of our candidate, and you know Mr. Toure. He did not tell me, but I'm sure he's wearing two caps here, for himself and that of Coach Ibrahima Bojang. Am I wrong? Perfect, I know. Maybe as we go along, you'll know what I'm talking about. distinguished personalities, stakeholders, club presidents and representatives, representatives of the regional football associations and allied associations, the invited guests, our friends from the media, good morning, good afternoon, sorry, good afternoon to you all. My role here today is very, very simple, it's a very short one. It's just to introduce in one way our candidate, who is Colonel Musa Jammeh, whom I have been working with in the past 12 years in the GFF boardroom, together with some of the colleagues, especially the Bufai. Musa has been known and prominent in Gambian football from the grassroots to national level. His managerial skills in football also has been manifested in the founding and current position of the Falconz FC. Most of you would know. On the professional side, you all know, as a colonel in the Gambia Armed Forces, and also as an accountant by profession, thus the Director of Finance of the Gambia Armed Forces for a decade plus. And I'm sure you will also understand why. Somebody holding such a position, sensitive position in the armed forces in this present day, from the last republic, to the current one, so you'll be able to understand why he still could hold that position all these years with the volatility of the system. Musa his name speaks for itself. We've been working together, and being a senior by age, I was able to, at least, follow his movements, progress, and activities within the group. And I have no doubt that having him endorsed as the candidate for the team cover to succeed myself in that position has been done out of personal experience and a very thorough and lengthy consultations. It took us 6 months plus. It's not a thing that happens a day. Sometimes facts are distorted. I didn't just get up and say, Musa, and it's still not my decision. It's a collective decision. We briefly said that colleagues will tell me, Press, you decided. I said no. And they will say, Yemen Natiru. I said no. Go indirect, no. I'm not God. It's not have to like that. Who we all bring. And this did not stop at the GFF boardroom. It extended to the greater Team Kaba family and beyond to the other partners, including the government and other individuals who have a stake in football and the general stakeholdership. It took me 6 months to, even though I guided the process, to be able to actually put together the wishes of the general, the people that have been consulted, hence the reason here. Since assuming the leadership of Gambian football in 2014, 12 years ago, when I came in as a newcomer, a nobody, an unknown, who at the time was perceived, had no relationship with football, who was just a soldier who knows nothing other than guns and other things, maybe who was a politician. Because in politics, when you get into politics, you are ready to hear everything. And some of those statements are being repeated in Musa. Soldar and Anyuba only gave. But I think Soldar are exceptional in whatever they are doing. And if you look at it in sports in general, you look at the leadership of football, especially in Africa, you'll be surprised that most of the leaders have service, either military or other service background. So they are very compatible, and there's no sector of the society that does sports more than those in uniform, isn't it? But it's part of their daily life. Some of us would stay for, if you're not just as a civilian, stay, you do it by choice, but for us in the uniform, it's part of your life. And especially somebody who grew up from primary school to high school, and he made his name in the Basse at the high school, captain, played for Manju in Basse, came down, Saraba, Walidan, captain, national team, founded. How many of the veterans or the former players were able to even organize a Nawetan club within their localities? They are very rare. So when Kaba came 2014, he was nobody, because many people in this country, they don't know about you and they just want to talk about you. Yes, I accept it, but with resilience and hard work and some managerial skills, we are able to take Gambian football to another level. Why not somebody who lived football? He played it, he knows on the pitch, in the dressing rooms, and eventually he founded one of the top clubs in the country. So I think and that coupled with his academic qualifications, somebody holding a BSc and a master's degree, who has also been in leadership position for the past decade plus. If for me, under my leadership, with my mediocrity, they would say, or my lack of football knowledge and other things, together we two could take Gambia football to the order. If we are able to achieve 100, I have no doubts, under the leadership of Musa, with a good team, that will be unveiled. They will register 1,000 in 4 years. I have no doubts about that. In 2014, when we came in, most of you were around. The Gambian football family was deeply divided. We went through a decade, almost a decade of instability. When our late father, Lai Obi Konate, retired, and from him to our leadership in 2014, I don't think any executive committee was able to complete its 4-year term. And in between, we had about 2 normalizations. Am I right? The football family was divided, and unfortunately, not divided for the right cause, divided for the wrong cause that affects our society, us and them. Wa Komboy, wa Dekji, wa Banjul, wa Lifini, so say Njagoi, Fulai. That's a phenomenon in our society. Unless we kill it, it's going to affect our life, and we will not be doing good for the generations to come. But we are able to, alhamdulillah, when poor Kaba, of course, a poor farmer's son from outside Banjul, for sure, from Baribu, Kian to Brikama, nobody will consider me as part of the elite family. When I was brought in, and I was able to work closely with both sides, and now in Gambian football, alhamdulillah, at all levels, from the management to the administration, to competitions, we've seen what's happening, especially this current play of what's happening now. You've seen the performance. You look at the tables, the first and second divisions, you see clubs coming from the provincial regions, what they are doing. You look at the management of football at all levels across the board. We are able to break that taboo that has really inherently affected our football for many years. And this is an achievement that for me, I will not relent in my efforts to ensure that it's guided. Because if we miss that, we'll go downhill and it could be worse for our football. And we invested, even not leading the federation, but I also have a club that I put my personal money in. He has a club, he's put his money there, all of us sitting down there, put our personal money into football. So we have a stake, an investment to protect. And there's nobody here who doesn't, because we all know football leadership, especially in this country, at whatever level. Even you are in the regional football association or in one of the associations, there are instances where you deny your own family, your hard-earned income, and give priority to football. So those of us who are living it knows it, and any attempt to deviate from that or to take us back by the fact of some statements that I hear, I wish that the provisions in our criminal code that they could be considered as criminal. We're going to take our football from the elites. We're going to take our football from them. The cancer is taking its head up. Unless we nib it from the board, we'll be doomed as stakeholders in Gambian football. And that's one of the campaign slogans of some of the current aspiring leaders. Let's maintain our unity. We don't know who comes from where. It's what you bring on the table as an individual. That's the most important thing. But I have no doubt. And one of the the main reasons of our survival is to maintain good governance standards. We never miss a General Assembly in 12 years. Every December latest, we'll organize a General Assembly. And this General Assembly, you bring in the delegates as members. As we stand, we have 16 First Division clubs, 18 Second Division, 7 regional football associations, and 5 allied associations. This is what compose of GFF. GFF is registered as a private association entity under the Companies Act. So the people who owns it are these. Of course, there's public interest, football, and everybody has interest in it. We welcome it. It's a national sport that everybody loves. Every 12 months, we converge, present the accounts, the audited accounts of the previous year. And those audited accounts are sent to the stakeholders, members, at least 14 days before the convergence. I don't think any institution would do that, does that in this country. It's not happening. The activity report is the result of the budget that was approved for the year ending, is also shared with the stakeholders. And alhamdulillah, there is not a single year from 2014, because when we took over in October 2014, December we organized a General Assembly. If we had an extraordinary, then we have the ordinary. There is not a single occasion where the General Assembly disapprove any of our proposals or disapprove the financial statements, budget, whatever. We open it for discussions. Members have all the time to intervene, to share their ideas, make their observations, and these are all captured. But at the end of the day, we come back, which is very, very rare if you know how football operates in Africa. And also, GFF, we undergo 2 audit processes. The first one is done in March. That's what we call the central audit. That's done by the FIFA. We'll sit down here. The General Secretary will receive an email from FIFA that we appointed Mr. Christine Johnson from Ireland and Madame Kumba Faye from Senegal. So the finance director should list with them and provide them the info, and they'll come back. This is how it happens. Some of them, often they are not even from the same area. They will do it, and this we never miss from 2014 up to today, since the advent of the FIFA 4 in 2016. And alhamdulillah, there's not a single day that our accounts were qualified, those who understand accounts. It never happened. And then up to this last March is passed. Of course, in auditing process, there are most of some observations here and there. But there's not a single day FIFA asks us, you cannot account for this dollar. It never happened. So we are not thieves. Secondly, we have what do we call the statutory audit. This encompasses both FIFA funds and all other funds, including government funds. The gate takings, everything. That's also done by an external auditor appointed by the General Assembly. And thank God, up to the last one that is done last June, alhamdulillah, the management letter has never found us wanting any way. Thus, we are not thieves. We have not been eating your football money. And equally, on the side of governance and transparency, the Honorable Minister is here. Of course, we are never satisfied with this government intervention in terms of supporting national teams. Sometimes colleagues will confront me, President, you are sympathetic to the government. Yes, but I told them I've been there. I was where Bakary Badji is today, more than 20, almost getting to 30 years ago. And then I was interacting with people who were leading football at the time, who were each older than my dad at the time. So I know. And I also know government's competing priorities and many other things. If we send a budget of 20 million to government for a particular international game, we are giving 8 million, 9 million, 7 million. Yes, it's not enough. Alhamdulillah, if that did not come, what will happen? And thank God, all the money that we able to, if we receive from government, after every international match, there is a financial report that is submitted within a week to the National Sports Committee. and those accounts are also subject to auditing by the National Audit Office. 12 years now, alhamdulillah, we never receive a query or even a question by correspondence, formally or informally, from the National Sports Council or by extension the Ministry of Transport, that government give you this 8 million, but we want to know, we explain how this one, that hasn't happened. So we are not thieves, we don't eat your money. I think this is very important because that's the title we have for ourselves. But anyway, we'll have to, as my late brother will say, he chose to be leading football, to be in public space, so those are the factors, some of the consequences. My brother says in government, you know what they go through every day, and I've been there. So I just want to give the members that assurance, or reassurance, because most of the equally sit in the General Assembly annually. We did our best, out of some difficult situations, but with a clear vision and direction. That's where we are. And I have no doubt that coming into office after these August elections of Team Falconz, Musa and his formidable team that will be unveiled in the next couple of minutes, I have no doubt that they will take it higher than where we are able to do. Because I know they have the foundation, they have the wherewithal, they have the knowledge, and they have the experience, the commitment to be able to achieve that. On this note, on that note, I'm very sorry for keeping you too long in this. It should have been a welcoming remark, but I think there are some facts that have to come out. This is very important. It's a wall of social media and other things really come out. Sometimes you don't even know how they came out, but that's the reality. And then I want to thank you all for coming, especially the Honorable Minister, and then the Deputy CDS and all the other colleagues here who found the time to be here to at least celebrate this day with us and show solidarity and support to the cause. And inshallah, bring in anything other than Team Falconz is not a good sign for our football in the future.
Thank you very much, Prezi, for those remarkable, insightful, and very, very, very educative words. You made a lot of very prominent clarifications to, of course, some of the things that are said on this very executive. But as the saying goes on in Wolof, Kubot Buki, Haj Bowla. As far as you're in public office, definitely there will be a lot of things that will be coming on your way. And next on the itinerary, we are going to have President of Team Falconz, and we are all gathered here, a good number of us because of him. And under his foresight, he managed to, of course, erect a very formidable team in Falconz, a team that started around Abuko, Nema, and of course, Latir Kunda. But prior to that, he was a very formidable footballer. Growing up as a teenager, I was fortunate enough to watch him. You see this shy and calm guy, but I can tell you he was definitely a beast of a footballer. Not only a beast, but somebody who knows how to play the ball and have a lot of swagger in him. And one thing that I can tell you freely is, as a young kid watching him, whether it is Independence Stadium or Banjul Mini Stadium, I was normally amazed, or very much amazed by his ball control. As the saying goes by some of our kotos, Musa would always do control awase, meaning he controls the ball forward, whether it's with his instep or outstep. And then whenever he does that, he does it with a lot of swagger. And that was something that I always retained in him when he was playing for Walidan, for armed forces. And over the years, he has won a lot of trophies, whether it was with Walidan or armed forces. And as a football administrator with armed force, he oversees the most successful period of armed forces under, whether it was under Coach Ibujara, whether it was under the late Titao, and even, of course, when Giggs took over the team, it was all under the tutelage of Musa before he, of course, erected Falconz. And over the years, Falconz have excited us with a lot of very, very good players. Coach Mourinho who is here as well, stay at that team. I can fully remember 2021-2022 season. I think Falconz, we are not champions, but played one of the most exciting football. That famous day against Real de Banjul at the Independence Stadium, where Fakeba, of course, and the others dominated that game. It was a fantastic game. That was just brief things that I had to say with Musa for Musa Rada. Now I will give you the floor to, of course, make your keynote address before we unveil the team. Mr. Jammeh, the floor is all yours.
President of the Gambia Football Federation, Honorable Lamin Kababajo, Honorable Minister of Trade and Employment, Mr. Maud K. Sise, the Deputy Chief of Defense Staff, Brigadier General Said Njai, representing the CDS, distinguished elders of Gambian football, former presidents and leaders of the Gambia Football Federation, members of the football family, delegates, partners, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Today marks far more than the launch of a manifesto or the unveiling of a campaign team. It is a defining moment in the history of Gambian football, a moment to reflect on where we have come from, appreciate those who brought us this far, and present a clear vision for where we must go next. No institution can confidently shape its future without first understanding its past. Every successful organization preserves its institutional memory because history is not merely a record of events. It is a guide for decision-making, a source of wisdom, and a safeguard against repeating costly mistakes. That is why I consider the Chronicle of Leadership of the Gambia Football Federation not simply as a historical document, but as one of the most important governance references for anyone aspiring to lead Football House. Our football has traveled an extraordinary journey over the past 3 decades. It has experienced periods of remarkable success, moments of painful setbacks, financial crisis, FIFA interventions, constitutional reforms, international recognition, and historic achievements. Each chapter was written by leaders who served under different circumstances, faced different challenges, and made different contributions. Whether their tenures ended in triumph or adversely, every administration has left valuable lessons that deserve recognition and respect. I begin with the late legendary Alhaji Usman Basi Konate, known as Fisco, who demonstrated that passion, sacrifice, and personal commitment to sustain football during periods of national uncertainty. His selfish dedication kept Gambian football alive when institutional support was limited, reminding us that leadership begins with service and unwavering commitment. The late Alhaji Gabi Sose introduced a more structured and corporate approach to football administration. His vision for infrastructure, particularly the establishment of the FIFA Goal Project and the National Technical Training Center, reinforced the importance of investing in permanent assets that outlive individual administration. His tenure also reminded us that meaningful reforms must always be accompanied by consultation, consensus, and effective stakeholder engagement. This brings me to Alhaji Omar Sy, who provided perhaps one of the most significant governance interventions in our football history. During periods of institutional uncertainty, he demonstrated exceptional statesmanship, restoring order through constitutional reforms, financial discipline, and administrative restructuring. His leadership laid the foundations for modern governance, transparency, and democratic participation within the Federation, providing that integrity and institutional reforms are indispensable for sustainable development. Let's visit the exploits of Sidi Kinte, who presided over one of the most memorable era of sporting success. Under his leadership, the Gambian football celebrated remarkable achievements in youth competitions and inspired an entire generation of footballers. However, history also reminds us that sporting excellence cannot be sustained without equally strong governance, financial accountability, and institutional discipline. His tenure remains a powerful lesson that success on the field must always be matched by sound management of the field. The subsequent period of normalization and institutional correction demonstrated how fragile football institutions become when governance systems fail. Yet it also illustrated the resilience of Gambian football and the willingness of FIFA, CAF, and our local stakeholders to restore credibility to reforms, accountability, and constitutional renewal. Now, let's look at the most defining moments of our Gambian football. When Lamin Kababajo assumed office in 2014, he inherited a federation emerging from uncertainty and international setbacks. Through steady leadership, strategic planning, and institutional discipline, he restored confidence within Football House. His administration strengthened financial management, expanded grassroots infrastructure, professionalized football administration, advanced women's football, invested in regional development, and delivered the greatest sporting achievement in our history, 2 successive qualifications for the African Cup of Nations. These achievements transformed Gambian football from an underachieving nation into one that now commands respect across Africa and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, as I stand before you today, I do so with profound respect for every individual who has occupied the office of President of Gambian Football Federation. Leadership is never exercised in easy circumstances, and every administration has contributed in one way or the other to building the institution that we have today. Our responsibility is therefore not to erase history, but to build upon it. The Chronicle of Leadership teaches us one unmistakable truth. Institutions endure when leadership places governance above personalities, accountability above convenience, and long-term national interest above short-term popularity. Football succeeds when systems become stronger than individuals. It is in this conviction that has inspired my decision to seek your mandate as the next president of the Gambian Football Federation. My ambition is not founded on personal aspiration alone. It is rooted in years of service to Gambian football. As a former player, founder and president of Falconz Football Club, executive committee member of the GFF, chairman of the procurement committee, CAF safety and security officer, and above all, as someone who has witnessed football from the grassroots to the highest levels of international administration. These experiences have taught me that sustainable success is achieved through visionary leadership, institutional discipline, and a collective ownership. I'm not presenting myself as a candidate to begin a new chapter for discarding the past. I seek your trust to continue the journey that previous leaders began while addressing the emerging challenges of modern football. We must preserve the governance reforms that have restored our credibility, strengthen financial sustainability, modernize football administration, expand infrastructure to every region, invest in youth and women's football, commercialize our competitions, improve player welfare, and enhance innovation that positions Gambian football among Africa's leading football nations. This is why the manifesto that we launched today is built upon continuity, innovation, and transformation. It acknowledges the sacrifices of those who came before us while presenting practical strategies to take Gambian football to its next stage of development. Every pillar within this manifesto reflects lessons drawn from our own history and responds to the realities of the future. Today, I also profoundly unveil a team composed of experienced administrators, accomplished professionals, respected football stakeholders, and dedicated individuals who share one common purpose, that is to serve Gambian football with integrity, competence, and accountability. This team does not represent one region, one club, or one interest group. It represents the collective aspirations of our football family and our determination to build an inclusive federation that belongs to every Gambian. Our campaign is therefore not about personalities of division. It is about preserving the institutional gains of the past while unlocking new opportunities for the future. It is about ensuring that Football House remains a respected institution governed by transparency, professionalism, and excellence. As delegates prepare to make one of the most important decisions in the history of our federation, I respectfully urge you to consider not only promises, but also vision, not only ambition, but also experience, not only change, but purposeful continuity. The next president of the Gambia Football Federation must understand our history, appreciate our present achievements, and possess the leadership to navigate the future. The chronicle of leadership has shown us what works, what fails, and what must never be repeated. It has become our institutional compass. I offer myself to lead with those lessons firmly in mind. Together, let us protect the legacy we inherited. Together, let us write the next chapter in the remarkable story of Gambian football. May God bless the Gambian Football Federation. May God bless Gambian football. May God bless the Republic of the Gambia. Thank you very much for your participation.
A round of applause for President. Can we please rise up and give him a round of applause for that very monumental speech. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Mr. President. That was not only insightful, but it was thoughtful, tactful, and definitely unveiling all the mega plans to, of course, help take Gambian football to a higher level than where it is, although it is going to be very difficult, but of course it is attainable. And as of now, we are going to introduce the members of Team Falconz, and I will briefly read some of their profile, or a huge chunk of their profile, starting with Ms. Ramundau. Born and raised in Bara in the South Bank region, Ramu played football at school and later spent 9 years as a player for Lower Nyomi. After retiring, she moved into management and has been the chairperson of the NBRFA Women's Football Committee since 2014. She has worked to advance the women's and youth sectors and serve as president of the National Coordination of Working Children and Youth of the Gambia for 5 years. Ramu is currently the first vice president of the Women's Football Association and the president of Lower Nyomi Football Club, which plays in the Women's Second Division League. Rise up, Ramu, and please a round of applause for Ramu. Thank you very much. Ramu is a co-opted member. Another co-opted member is Chumban Fai. Chumban is no longer a stranger to Gambian football. From local Nawetan to league football and national team matters, her presence in our national team is felt everywhere. Currently an executive member of the KMRFA, Chumban began her career in sports management with the Serakunda Esports Committee as a co-opted member. She is also a member of the GFF Protocol Committee and currently serves as the General Match Coordinator for the West African Football Union, WAFU. Thank you very much, Chumban. Next on the list of co-opted members is Momodu Chernondur. He has extensive experience in Gambian retail sector. He is a business manager with over 22 years experience in the oil and estate industries. A former member of the Gambia Basketball Association, he now serves as the Secretary General of Hawks Football Club. As CEO of Sahara Traders and Estate Agency, Momodu Chernondur provides strong leadership, overseeing strategic direction and operations. The company has expanded its portfolio across residential, commercial, and investment properties, with a focus on quality, customer satisfaction, and sustainable growth. Having studied in the US and earned an associate degree in business administration, he also worked as a general manager at Staples International Company. For 5 years, overseeing operations, financial results, and team development. A round of applause for Mr. Ndur. Another co-opted member is Omar H.O. Sedikan, who is not here. I understand he traveled overseas. He is the president and founder of TMT Football Club, which competes in both the men's and women's first division leagues. He is a well-respected business executive, football administrator, youth development advocate, and entrepreneur, with expertise in the oil and forex industries. Omar serves as the CEO of Sedikan Forex Bureau, the SARS, OHO Sedikan Company Limited, OHO Construction Company Limited, and OHO Foundation for Youth Empowerment and Development. He has a strong record in sports management, business leadership, and community service. By establishing TMT, he has transformed a grassroots academy into a prominent GFF First Division club, leading it to 2 GFF Cup finals, with the women's team finishing runners-up in the recent season. Holding a bachelor's degree in business administration, Omar is also the president and majority shareholder of Pipeline FC, champions of the LRR 3rd Division League. He has significantly contributed to the development of players who have represented the Gambia at the under-17 and under-20 levels. Another EXCO member who is not here because she is not feeling well is Umi Bitey. Umi Bitey is the manager of administration and training at the Gambia Ports Authority. She holds a bachelor's degree in management and master's in business administration. She also serves as the 3rd vice president of the Banjul Regional Football Association. With extensive experience in the Regional Football Association, Umi served as the GFF Executive Committee from 2013 to 2014. She has held several key roles within the Banjul football scene, including a treasurer of the Banjul Sports Committee, where she managed finances for local sports and venue upgrades at KG5 Mini Stadium. She also has been involved in administrative and logistical work at the national level, including service on the GFF Events Management Committee, which coordinates international matches and events. Another EXCO member is Auntie Arenjaija. Her passion of football knows no bounds until recently. She was one of the few parents who would support their children's choice of football over anything. She played football at school and is currently a FIFA and CAF match commissioner. She has over 3 decades experience in hospitality industry, where she has held various managerial positions. Another EXCO member who is not here today due to unforeseen circumstances is Mr. Bakari Balde. Bakari Balde is a football administrator, journalist, teacher, and a youth development advocate. He established Heart Academy Football Club in 2016 with the vision of empowering young people through sport, education, and leadership. He guided its rise from obscurity of Gambian academy football to the National First Division League. Based in Jara Soma, it is the first provincial Gambian team to earn a promotion to Gambian top flight, demonstrating that talent can thrive beyond urban areas. Driven by the passion to get kids off the streets through grassroots football, he started Heart with only 9 boys in the under 9, under 13, and under 15 levels. And today, it has both men's and women's teams in the LRR 3rd Division League. With a bachelor's degree in English language, Balde is a senior master at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, the QTV correspondent for LRR, president of the LRR Football Academies Association, and president and CEO of Heart Football Academy. Another EXCO member is Doyen Mr. Hassan M.S. Cham. He's a seasoned Gambian football official with 57 years of involvement, starting as a player of SARS FC and Freezing Football Club from 1969 to 1979. And becoming a referee in 1981. He earned his GCO levels in 1973 and became a FIFA international assistant referee, officiating in African and CAF competitions until 1996. Now he serves as vice chairman of the competitions of the Gambia Football Federation Referees Committees, rather. A CAF referee instructor and holds a diploma in tourism management. He previously worked as the Gambia National Tourist Office, rising through the ranks to become acting director for 6 months until December 2001, before retiring in January 2002. An international tourism expert, he has organized events at global tourism fairs. Thank you very much, Mr. Cham Doyen. 4th Vice President, Ms. Senabu Cham. An embodiment of women's football. She is an alumnus of the FIFA Female Leadership Development. She completed the UEFA FIFA Women in Football Leadership course in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Ms. Cham is a member of the organizing committee for the CAF Women's African Cup of Nations and CAF Match Commissioner. She has an advanced diploma in information technology and attended the FIFA Women's Leadership Development Program in Canada. She played football with City Girls and became the assistant manager of iTech Optics before returning to City Girls as its assistant coach in 2008 and team manager in 2015. She is also the president of the Women's Football Association of the Gambia. Ms. Senabu Cham is not here because she is currently attending the WAFCON. And at the position of third Vice President. Ms. Cham is 4th Vice President. The position of 3rd Vice President is Mr. Keba Jasper Ture. A former footballer, Keba Ture, also known as Jasper, has more than 2 decades of uninterrupted involvement in Gambian football, both as a player and a coach. He came through the ranks of Bakau, Nawetan, and captain Vietnam Border, where they won 4 league titles and 3 Super Cups. He then played for and captain Bakau United in the National League for 12 years, from 1993 to 2005, during which he also won the FA Cup and 1 Super Cup. And after hanging his boots, he transitioned into coaching and first took up the head coach role at Bakau United. He's a member of the WAFU Technical Committee and is currently the president of the Gambia Football Coaches Association. A holder of several CAF and FIFA coaching certificates, Jasper is currently pursuing CAF A license diploma, which he will complete in December 2026. He is skilled in team leadership, player development, and technical administration. Thank you very much, Jasper. I think his most famous win is that 2004 FA Cup, where Daddy Guy terrorized the Walidan defense. Everybody can remember that. Right, and the position of second vice president rather, is Mr. Mustafa Jallo. Mr. Jallo, despite his youth, is a recognized figure among Gambian sports officials, particularly at the grassroots and regional levels. He currently serves as the president of the Kanifing Municipality Regional Football Association, having been first elected in 2022 and re-elected earlier this year. In his role, he oversees regional football in Kanifing, manages local grassroots competition, and works closely with the Gambia Football Federation. Previously, he served as KMRFA's second vice president from 2018 to 2022, and also served as Secretary General of the Manjai Sports Committee and as a member of the GFF Organizing Committee. Mustafa holds a diploma in information technology with specialization in PC repair and maintenance and networking essentials. He brings 14-year experience in tourism and hospitality, currently serving as front officer manager at the Palm Beach Hotel since 2019. After previously working as operations manager there, he founded Team Rhino Football Club, guiding its rise from obscurity in Gambian grassroots football to the Premier Division, progressing through the third and second division. His continental experience includes roles at the WAFU and as an assistant general coordinator, and currently as a CAF general coordinator, where he manages match day operations, venue logistics, and ground management for CAF tournaments such as the Champions League and Confederation Cup, CAF Under-17, AFCON. And at the position of fourth vice president is John Frank Mendy. John Frank Mendy is a retired referee who officiated from 2003 to 2008, including numerous FIFA World Cup, Olympic and CAF football competition, and won the SJAG Best Referee Award in 2007. He began his career in 1994 and retired in 2014. The same year, he was appointed the GFF Referees Committee, became a FIFA referee instructor, and now an internationally acclaimed FIFA CAF Referees Assessor. Since 2019, he has been the president of the Gambia Football Referees Committee. He holds a master's degree in engineering and management and a BSc in technology. John is currently a mechanical engineer manager at the Gambia Ports Authority, where he also serves as the board chairperson of its staff credit union. He is the former chairman of NACUC and was also a former president of National Society of Black Engineers. And now to the president, Colonel Musa M. Bala Jammeh. From grassroots to the national level, Colonel Musa M. Bala Jammeh, known as Falconz, combines Gambian football passion with strong leadership, an experienced military officer, and a former player. He has managed teams at all levels, from schoolyards to international stages, including Nazir Ahmadiyya High School, Nusrat High School, Sarabai FC, Walidan, GAF, and the Gambia national team Scorpions. He has won Gambian First Division titles with Walidan FC and GAF FC, and also secured the Gambian FA Cup. As the founder and president of Falconz FC, he led their journey from Serekunda East Nawetan to First Division contenders. A former GAF FC board member, he contributed to winning 3 league titles and an FA Cup. He is a certified CAF FIFA safety and security officer, holding an MSc in defense and international politics and a magna cum laude bachelor's in accountability from the University of the Gambia. The footballer president advocates for integrity, player-centered growth, and discipline to uplift Gambian football. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Team Falconz for you. And no, we can get it going. Never mind, Mr. Fai. All right. Next on our agenda is question and answer session from the media. You will raise up, of course, introduce yourself. Okay, first let's do the unveiling of the manifesto first. Sorry about that. Let's do the unveiling of the manifesto first, And then after that, we'll of course have a question and answer session. I bet all of you have a copy of the manifesto. Can we do it here or there? No, I mean, who's a feeling code? Wow. Why? That's fine. We don't have a problem. So you can bring it. The media, I would indulge you to reposition your focus cameras to this end, so that you can, of course. Yes, we are set to unveil the manifesto. What?
Esteemed stakeholders and the High Table kindly permit me to stand on the existing protocols and to commence the launching of my team's manifesto. First of all, just to give you a rundown of how this manifesto came about. When the decision of Team Kaba was made to endorse me as the flag bearer for the presidential elections of 2026, that set the stage for me and my technicians to start working on a manifesto that should deliver the expectations of the stakeholders and the Gambian people as far as football is concerned. And that process involved the key stakeholders and team members of Team Kaba. In fact, we had a principal planning group which was responsible of conceptualizing the manifesto, but most importantly, for it to sync between the initial Team Kaba into Team Falconz going forward. Because if you look at the Team Kaba, we somehow working on institutionalizing it so that no one just comes and create your own thing. We want it to be a continuous process. And that is why we believe that there should be that continuity, but of course, taking ownership of what we also want to achieve by leaving our own positive legacy. So it is based on that foundation that this manifesto that I will be unveiling was done. And most importantly also, the manifesto is not just a mere academic document that we have prepared. In fact, one of the reasons why it took a bit of time for it to come out is to ensure that which comes out here is something that we want to hold ourselves responsible and to ensure that it is delivered at the end of our mandate. So in doing that, most of the things, or let me put it this way, our ambition is anything on this manifesto, we want it to be implemented within the first term of our coming into office. The vision is that we want the Gambia to be West Africa's model football nation through elite development, professional excellence, and inclusive growth. That is where we want to take our football. And our mission is to transform Gambian football through professional governance, sustainable investment, and inclusive pathways that create opportunities from grassroots to global stage. So basically, this is a manifesto that has much to do with transformation of our football. If you look at our history, like I stated in the Chronicle of Command, leadership at the GFF, he has stabilized our football. Team Kaba has really stabilized our football. And they have laid the foundation for succeeding leaderships to take our football forward. And that was unlike what they found on the ground. We are somehow lucky to come and find a very stable in our system. So we should not be found wanting for not delivering on what we promised to the Gambian people. So we have crafted 7 strategic pillars that we believe should be able to bring 360 degrees development to our football. And in pillar 1, we look at governance, integrity, and strategic partnership. You can recall that the past history of some of the leadership at GFF, they were found short of governance, integrity matters. And that contributed towards the challenges that they encountered. And in some of them, it resulted to the disbanding of their executives and the intervention of normalizations. So, and that is why my team deems governance, integrity, and strategic partnership very, very important to the achievement of football development. And in that, our strategic priorities will focus on governance, transparency, and institutional integrity. President Bajo recounted that for the past 12 years, they have never fallen short of holding annual general meetings. And for the past 12 years, they have been sharing the audited accounts of the Federation and gotten approvals of their budget from the General Assembly. These are very good governance matters that we also promise to uphold and improve on. In fact, me and my team also challenge ourselves to continue publishing the audited accounts of the Federation, at least for transparency purposes. We will also establish an independent ethics committee and a compliance committee. These are constitutional requirements, and they are things that we want to ensure that they are effected. To improve on governance also, we will ensure the digitalization of football administration. It has commenced, but it has not been fully rolled out. And we want to ensure that it's done, particularly the incorporation of our regional football associations. We will also introduce some structural reforms, particularly having a monitoring and evaluation unit at Football House. Why we think this is very important is that anything that we set ourselves for and promise you, there must be a measure to monitor and evaluate how far we are going towards that achievement. Unless we have a unit dedicated to do that, we will not be able to really evaluate and visualize how far we are going, how are we deviating, and what is causing the deviation, and how can we address those things to better the implementation of the promises that we made to the Gambian people. The other strategic priority is partnership with government and institutional harmony. President Bajo clearly stated that he has gotten a very cordial relationship with the government of the Gambia. Even though at the boardroom where we all serve, some of us feel that he has been somehow very, lame and not putting up, the concerns of the executive to the government. And the claims is that, it is national team. And when anything that has to do with national team is the primary responsibility of government. Yes, we all know that. But I also believe that the experience that President Bajo garnered during his service with government informed him better that there are really competing interests as far as the national cake is concerned. So there must always be a compromise between football house and government. But we must not also forget that if we critically study the involvement of government in football house activities, the new dispensation record will definitely not be compared to what has passed before. The records are there to prove that. But there's another gauge that you can use to confirm that. If you look at the performance of Gambian football at national level, we have never succeeded much compared to the past decade that we did. And that simple question, and that is a clear indication that it is through the support of government, even though some might say it is up to 50% or thereabout, but the 40% has projected us and catapulted us to be a country that is recognized in Africa. What I want to do is to build on that foundation that he has already built, and to see how we can improve on government's involvement in football house activities. In fact, I don't want to only limit it to the national team. I want to explore that coordination, especially in development agenda activities. Football infrastructure, I mean. Because primarily that is also the responsibility of government to support in infrastructural development, particularly the football fields and training grounds for our people. If we can leverage on our relationship with government and to synchronize our activities, I believe that we can achieve more, because it is in the best interest of government, because all that we are involved in does with youths, and the youths are the cream and the future of the country, and the government places them highly in their activities. And that is why I took all my time to ensure that I have the Honorable Minister of Trade and Employment here. Because what we do, or what we are going to do at Football House, has a lot to do with what his ministry does. So this job has already begun in creating that close relationship with government, so that we will achieve what we want as a football country. So this is why this strategic government partnership and institutional harmony is very, very important in this manifesto. We also want to create the international relations, football diplomacy, and global partnership structure within Football House. Football has become a sport that needs a lot of networking. You cannot only rely on government or your primary stakeholders to move your football. The international community needs to be engaged, and through that diplomacy, we'll be able to source some of the funding that is needed for the development of our football. And therefore, it is important for us to have a dedicated unit within the federation whose business will be to ensure that we progress so much on this. Why this difference could not be realized much under his leadership? Because the fact that he has served as a diplomat for many years, he has leveraged on that opportunity and brought a lot of things into our football through his diplomatic expertise. But I am a different person. I don't have his diplomatic acumen. So to cover that gap, we need to create a dedicated unit so that we can continue on that trajectory. We also prioritize referees' excellence, safety, security, and integrity. Refereeing is one of the most important areas of football development. The threat to match manipulation has become a key issue in modern football. It has shattered some countries in Europe. Lately, we all saw what happened in Turkey. And those who follow Italian football also, the Berlusconi story and others, will know how football can be manipulated, especially with the involvement of referees. But with better education and preparation, we can reduce the risk of referees being manipulated and risking our football into disrepute. But also, the safety, security, and the integrity of our game, which is my specialty, is something that we also want to institutionalize. Already, CAF has already rolled out its safety and security regulations, and at the national level, we've already gotten our policy. So it's a matter of churning out and localizing our own regulations to match the CAF regulations, and to ensure that those principles are also rolled out to our stakeholders, particularly the RFAs. This is to ensure that our football is played in a safe and secure manner, so that at the end of the day, the services that are delivered, the ambience that we want in our game, we can have it and we enjoy our game peacefully. Let's take a look at pillar number 2. The second pillar looks at football infrastructure. It also looks at commercialization and sustainable finance. I always want to draw a reference from where we are coming from, so that we will understand why we are bringing certain things here. When Team Kaba was coming in 2014, one of the promises that was made to the stakeholders was to decentralize Gambian football, to bring Gambian football to the doorsteps of every Gambian child. At the time, the number of clubs that we have in the Gambia are very minimal. And he and his team promised that the first division teams at some point will increase up to 16, and the second division will be up to 18. And similar promises were made in terms of women football development. But let's remember there's a nexus between increasing the number of teams and the football infrastructure that you have in terms of playing games. The more teams you have, the more grounds you will need to be able to play your matches. So it really took time to upgrade the infrastructure that we had at the time to be able to cater for the increase in these teams. That process has become a thing of continuous debate between football house and some stakeholders. But what is very clear is that we were able to upgrade most of those grounds. We were able to ensure that the teams that we wanted to play at the first and second division, both male and female, we were able to achieve them. And that is why you look at the player pools that we have in this country over the years has continued to increase. And then it is also a factor that explains how our football has increased over the years. When you look at the numbers of expatriates that we are able to produce, is envied by many African countries. I have a colleague, a CAF safety and security officer, who is now the CEO of Accra Hearts of Oak. And he always tells me that, the Gambia has become the hot cake of talent around Africa. He told me that I am interested to come and look for the next Yankuba Minte. And I told him that you have many, many Yankuba Mintes that we have in this country. But for us to be able to continue on that trajectory and improve on it, our football infrastructure must be upgraded. It has been brought to a point where we can play there. But still, we need to improve on it, at least to make, maybe CAF Cat B level. In that way, our clubs will be able to compete in Africa and be able to also take football down to our people. And this is why we are so keen in building the strong relationship with government so that we can get the infrastructure that fulfills the CAF Cat B standards. My team will continue to upgrade those pitches that are already done. But we will also try to initiate new ones, because we have an initiative that we call One Region, One Mini Stadium. One region, one standard mini stadium across the country. If you watch carefully at the moment, perhaps it's only one region that doesn't have, a standard, at least a playable, mini stadium. Recently, you are aware that we have rolled out 4 infrastructure stadium there. So we have 4 major ones, plus the upgrading of the National Technical Training Center, where we will have the Biri Stadium. These are some of the projects that I just spoke about. They have their implementation is already in progress. And as a chair of the procurement committee, I know all the nitty-gritties therein. And we expect nothing but quality as far as these projects are concerned. So we are very sure that once we have this project up and going, those parts of our region or the federations will be able to make good use of them. And then eventually our youths will have somewhere to play football. We have also realized that for too long, we have been relying too much on our stakeholders in terms of our financing. FIFA, CAF funding has been the major transfusion of our existence financially, I mean. This is something that we want to change. We want to improve on the revenue streams of our football. And to do that, we must be able to upgrade our pitches. We must automate and digitalize the way and manner in which we collect revenue from our football. That is all geared towards improving the economy around our football, and for us also to be sustainable. Next slide. The third pillar looks at elite performance, technical excellence, and welfare. This is an area which looks at our national teams and high-performance football. The strategic priorities will be to look at how we sustain our qualification to AFCON, and possibly how do we also get ourselves into the World Cup. I said in one of my media engagements that I never thought in my lifetime that I will witness Gambia playing African Cup of Nations. And my reason was that all those years, for some of my compatriots, my age mates, we know, all we could do is to rely on supporting other African countries. Take them as if they are yours. Whether you support Senegal, people like me, we support Ghana, others, Nigeria, and the others, and you make them yours. That was the only thing we could do. But the leadership of President Kaba changed that mentality by making sure that we qualified for AFCON successively. But with that experience now, we want to explore the World Cup like other countries have done. In fact, some of our critics claim that countries like Cape Verde were behind the Gambia in terms of their level of football. But recently, they have upped their game, and we all saw now that Cape Verde plays in the African Cup of Nations, in the World Cup, not only African Cup of Nations. So that is something possible. Yes, of course, it's difficult to compare countries. We have our own peculiarities. So, we want to make sure that we, qualify for African Cup of Nations, regularly, and we must get a plan to do that. But we also want to ensure that, we have a very organized, system of moving our elite footballers, from the junior categories, to the senior categories. Once those things happen, then the quality of our national team is, the quality of our national team improves, and the sustaining the quality of the national team also becomes a reality. You can see these couplings, male and female, has also been improving very well over the years, and we want to build on that foundation. Let's look at the fourth pillar that looks at youth, grassroots, and female football pathways. The most successful periods of our junior category football, I stated, was during Sidi Kinte's time. Since then, we couldn't replicate it. But we want to change that history and build on a solid one that we will become the powerhouse of youth football. And to do that, we want to make sure that the grassroots football strategy is expanded all the way to the regions. But we also want to involve the schools, not for them to limit their activities to secondary schools, but also to the primary schools, and even the tertiary institutions. Because with their involvement, there's that possibility that we can extract some talents at the grassroots level that can mature into elite football. Recently, we have seen, recently we have seen the establishment of the FIFA Talent Development Scheme. The academy has recently been launched through the able leadership of President Kaba. This is something that we also want to roll out, to expand all the way to the region, so that the player pool can be expanded and the ability to have more talented young players into the academy is increased. Next slide. Pillar 5 looks at community decentralization and social impact. The involvement of our regions in our football has been strengthened since the coming of this federation. Not only were they involved in the decision-making matters of the federation, but the support accorded to them has been very significant over the years. It is through those supports that they are able to run their programs. And eventually we are able to see how teams are emerging from the regions and how they have been competing, in the national force and second division. So that is something that we also want to strengthen and to ensure that we support our regional football associations in terms of governance by standardizing their constitutions, reinforcing their competition matters, and also to strengthen their logistics activities. Recently, you have seen we have gotten 8 vehicles. 7 of them are dedicated to the regions, to help and enhance their logistic activities. So this is history that we also want to continue, because it is that way that we can move our football positively. Next slide. Perhaps this is one of the most important pillars as far as football is concerned. Team Kaba's success has a lot to do with capacity building and institutional development. Football is a game that must be developed across all the critical areas, and one critical area has to do with capacity building. Through the CAMS initiative, CAMS meaning coaches, administration, refereeing, medical, and security. Training and development in these areas has been the mainstay of this team. And this explains why our football has developed so much. From the refereeing side, we have seen the impact of Gambian referees, at the international stage. Even the coaching level, we have just recently rolled out the CAF A license program. This is the first time that such a program has been hosted in Gambia. But it is through the concerted effort of this administration that this thing, happened. Now, what behoves on me and my team is that they have now brought the A license. How can we build on the A license to be able to deliver the Pro license? Because that is how we can better our football. So that is something that we also need to think about. Next slide. The final pillar is my baby. It is very dear to me and my team, and for obvious reasons. We call it the Legends, Legacy, and Transition Initiative. Legends, Legacy, and Transition Initiative. The strategic priorities of this initiative, let me explain a little bit about that. The journey of a football player goes all the way until he gets to the grave. My CV told you a little bit that apart from, starting from playing football in primary school to high school, graduating all the way to the national team, at some point, I had to retire. In fact, I retired in 2004 after winning the league with the Gambian Armed Forces. But it was circumstantial. Because when I came back from the US from my training, time couldn't even allow me to be going for training when the team is training. There are things that I need to do. So what do? The primary function has to prevail first, and that is the military. So technically I have to get myself retired. But I wasn't tired. Immediately, I found myself a place in the Armed Forces team as the manager, and worked with command at that time to rebrand the Gambian Armed Forces. In fact, it was at that time that we were able to convince national team players to come and play in the Armed Forces team. I was the architect of that. I was able to convince the Siri Sambas, the Lamin Kolis, and the others to come and play in the Armed Forces team. And that has become the golden era of the Armed Forces Football Club. We won 3 league trophies and 2 FA Cups, and competed in the African Club Championship, thanks to command. Now, but what do we have for our legends? How do we prepare our football legends? Because every person at some point, you will be retired. In government, when they retire, they have a package for you to look after you. Even though it may not be adequate, but at least the scheme is there. But what do we have for our footballers? Honorable Minister, I can tell you that there's nothing out there for our footballers once they leave. They will represent the national colours. They will shed their blood. Some of them, they will even use their resources for the Gambia, for our national colour. But after everything, there is nothing in there to accompany them. I feel that is something that we need to look at. And that is why this strategic pillar was initiated. And one of the initiatives is to have what they call the ex-Scorpion Fund. Ex-Scorpion Fund. There's a way that we want to go around it, because first is those would-be players, those would-be retirees as ex-Scorpion, they must be able to invest for it for tomorrow. Because you are not creating it for any other one, it's for themselves. So this is something that we have to discuss with them, and we know we create a scheme contribution towards that. But we also want to involve government in this, because these footballers are representing our people. And we all know what that does when you play for your country and bring success to your country. all the good things that comes around the goodwill is something that we must invest on. So the Scorpion Fund, Export Scorpion Fund, is something that we really want to push and work with government for its achievement. We also want to create slots for our ex-national team players who want to take up coaching, mentorship, or ambassadorial roles. These are things that we need to prepare them for. It is their choice what they want to do, but we will be ready to accompany them on that day. So the opportunity is there. We just have to discuss with them on that. And also, my experience in Africa showed me that there are a lot of African countries who are making special use of their ex-footballers, to the extent that they are able to have their association that is recognized, and then they become part of the decision-making body of the federation. So it is to see how we can institutionalize that. Whether can we have the ex-Scorpions Association as a body within football, so that they will be able to contribute towards decision making, and even at committee levels, they'll be able to bring their expertise to develop our game. This is also in our thinking. That is part of the Legends Legacy and the Transition Initiative. There are other elements in it, but all these things will definitely be discussed with the greater body once we get voted into office. Yeah, if we can do those constitutional amendments, well, that is our wish, and I hope it will be granted. This brings me, that's the last pillar as far as our manifesto is concerned. I tried to summarize it as much as possible because I know the weather is not very suitable, and we have spent a long time here. The details of this manifesto, will be in the strategic plan that we have already started working on. And the strategic plan is now to show how, and the details of how this manifesto will be achieved. So during the campaign, we'll be interfacing with our stakeholders to explain these things in detail. In a nutshell, this is what I have for the Gambian people. Let me appreciate Honorable Minister, President Bajo, and the executive members. My sincere thanks and appreciation also goes to the Chief of Defense Staff, who is ably represented here by General Njai, who have been very supportive of my bid for the GFF presidency. There's no single day that we don't discuss about it, because they all know that it is in our general good. It is for our own people. So they are fully on board this journey. And my colleagues from Defense Headquarters, the colonels, I appreciate your presence. For Director Albert also from your institution, we appreciate, and all the stakeholders here present. I thank you so much for your time. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. That was not only well detailed, but of course it covered every prominent part of football administration, and we hope and pray that Allah gives you the energy and of course the ability to see it through. And before the question and answer session, we'll have a brief moment where we'll allow members of the floor here to make some testimonies about Musa, but it has to be brief. We'll give each and everyone 1 minute, maximum 2 minutes, to make some brief testimonies about Falconz. We'll open the floor. Mun nañ ko def ci local language, Wolof, Socé wala ben language buñ comfortable with. Ñu am ay kaddu seede yoo xam ne bëgg nañ ko def ci Musa képp ku fi nekk muy xarit mbokk wala kum liggéeyalal ndoor. Waaye nag ñu def ko mu brief parce que naaj bi tàng na te liit na maa ngi amee mic bi ku lii rek ma jox ko ku ekkati loxoom rek ma jox ko ku am dara ay kaddu seede yow mun a sànni si Musa. If not, ñu move on to question and answer session. Yeah, I also recognize the presence of Father Laos, Mr. Babukar Sow, a veteran Gambian footballer, coach, captain of the Gambian national team for 8 years. And it's an honor to have him in our presence. Wow, so lolu antuwut ñu new ci question and answer session. As a journalist, you will have to rise up, and then I'll give you the mic to introduce yourself and ask a question.
All right, good afternoon. My name is Mamadou Diaw. And I have two questions actually. From the point. My question is, you emphasize grassroots investment as a cornerstone of your vision. How will you reforms ensure that young talent from every corner of the Gambia has the opportunity to rise and shine? And the second question is, how do you plan to position Gambia football on international stage, ensuring our teams compete and succeed beyond the traditional boundaries? Thank you.
Two questions, let's have this one answered first.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jao. I've stated clearly that grassroots football is one of our priorities. But we want to build on the foundations in that area by this very executive. The introduction of the FIFA Talent Academy through the Talent Development Scheme is an opportunity that we want to harness. At the moment, the Academy is hosted at the Technical Training Center. And if you look at their scouting activities, they go across all the regions and then get us the best amongst them and bring them to Football House. Oh, sorry, to the NTCC. Our strategy will be to see how that can be extended to the regions. Because in that way, you will not only have the TDS centralized at the NTCC, but also one that is able to cater for our regions. But part of the strategies to enhance the quality of our grassroots is to ensure that the academies that we have across the country are properly licensed and standardized. Once those things are done, we will be able to organize structured grassroots football across all the regions up to a championship level. By doing that, we will be involving a lot of grassroots and a lot of talent will be discovered. In terms of positioning the national team at the global stage. One of the pillars that has to do with excellence, national team excellence, is to ensure that our national teams qualify regularly to AFCON. Now, how do we do that? I think if you look at the current structure, in fact, partly one of the reasons that affected our qualifications into the last AFCON could do with the ages of some of our players. Now, at some point, you have to rebuild the team. So the team that we have now is so much a youthful team, but we also have to support the coach in reaching out, particularly to the Gambian diaspora, to be able to encourage most of our diasporan families to be able to compete for the Gambia instead of changing their nationalities to other countries. Once we do that, of course, with the support of government, we will be able to compete and position the Gambia in global football. But the base is to ensure that we continue competing in the AFCONs, and from there now we can, shoot towards the World Cup and other major competitions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yahya Jammeh from Bessel Media. My question is, as both footballer, turned to president, and now the architect of Team Falconz, how will you balance political influence with genuine football development, ensuring decisions are made for the sport progress rather than political gain?
All right. Thank you very much for that question. I think one of the requirements to become an executive member of the federation is that you have to be a stakeholder with certain conditions. And one of the primary stakeholders of Football House is football teams. In fact, the true owners of Gambia Football Federation are the teams, because they are the ones who initiated this Gambia Football Association that we have. It is from the teams that the other associations came in, and lastly, we even got the associations. Being a team owner can in no way influence political decisions, because decisions are not taken individually, but they are taken at executive level. And at executive level, the powers that they have is almost the same power that I have, because they are voted into office. So I cannot see myself leaning away from those dictates and influence matters, for only the best interest of my club. My past experience as an executive member of the armed forces, up to the time I become the president of Falconz and serving in that executive, there has never been a time, and the records are there, that shows that I have used my position to influence, decisions that are taken, at executive level, or to influence matters. So I can assure you that there is no way that my political position will influence matters that has to do with my club or any other club. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Yahya Jammeh from Voice Out Digital. Thank you, Mr. Jammeh. The 7 pillars in your manifesto are very clear. They are very important ones. But however, there appears to be no specific pillar addressing media inclusivity. How does Team Falconz intend to involve the media in governance and the growth of the game, if elected in office by August? Thank you.
Thank you. The media, one of the most important partners of football in any country. Without the media, the activities of football will not be known. In fact, commercially, without the media, we cannot achieve, the digitalization and even the football economy that we spoke about. So perhaps it's because the presentation has been very summarized in a way that the role that the media has to play, didn't come out, in the presentation. But I can assure you that the media are right on top of our strategy, our priorities. You understand? Because without them, people will not know what we are doing. Without them, the transparency that we are talking about will not be known. Without them, the football economy that we want to transform, we cannot achieve it. So, but we will, achieve that by engaging the media regularly, through regular communications or media briefings, and also through, town hall meetings. But we will also make sure that, the media is very supported in our activities. We know that at the moment, the GFF, has a very good relationship with them. And we have seen that play out very well during the Gambia's match against Senegal. So those are traditions that we can only better, but not to, adversely affect. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ibrahim Asamba from the University of the Gambia, Faraba campus, under the School of Education. Mr. Musa, I have only 2 questions, and one of them is, many universities in the Gambia, including ours, Faraba campus, lack structured football and sport development programs. If elected as GFF president, what concrete plans do you have to support university football? And the second question is, learners find it difficult to effectively balance between academics and football. What opportunities will your leadership create for student athletes to transition into professional football without abandoning their education? Thank you.
Sorry, please, can you go over your second question? There's something that I missed there, the second question.
All right, the second question goes, learners find it difficult to effectively balance between academics and football. What opportunities will your leadership create for student athletes to transition into professional football without abandoning their education?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. The first question is that the University of the Gambia lacks structured football. Let me be sure that when you mean structured football, you mean that the University of the Gambia is not competing, amongst the recognized structures of the Gambia Football Federation. If that is what you mean, yes, if that is what it means, is that I'm reliably informed that the University of the Gambia have a 3rd division team that competes in Banjul. Then that means that the university, have to invest into that team so that they can become competitive and be able to maybe qualify to the second tier up to the first division level. We have seen in other countries where universities they have professional teams, like in South Africa. But this is something that the opportunities has to be created by the university itself. In some cases, they give scholarships to outstanding footballers, and other incentives, so that those footballers now will be able to also focus on football, not only on academics. The most tricky one is how to balance between academics and the football. This one definitely will be very difficult because it has to be a choice. It's possible in exceptional cases where a footballer can play in the university, and through that university program, you'll be able to get a scholarship, through football, and go to countries like in the US where you can transition to become a professional footballer. But as a federation, our support will be somehow standardized, because it will be difficult to only concentrate on in fact, I don't know how we will even do that, to make sure that we convince somebody to focus on football, because it can be 50-50. I know the danger why some parents don't want their children to focus on football alone, because if it doesn't work out in football, education also, it's time bound. So it's a big risk, and that is a cagey one, but it's a choice that must be made. Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Jammeh, man la dal di sant di la gërëm, man la Buba Diallo Fala Boy, nu ko MC bi waxee rek time yu ndaw ma la doon seetaan yaa ngi play football Falconz Serekunda East yaa ma dee yóbbu si football field bi ma la ñaanal lu nga xam ne mooy jaama su may question mooy ñu ne wax nga ne gox bu nekk di nga faa bil independent stadium mini stadiums wante léegi nii projects yi nga xam ne ñu si Gambia bi éggagul lu nga xam ne mooy 3/4 so léegi ban assurance na dal di jox ne mini projects yi ngeen deel dal di bil from 3 years promise du dem ba 6 years wala 10 years, parce que tey su wala jógee gold project maa ngi woon bu Sumbala maa ngi wër wante ne liggéey bu fa nekk ak lu ngeen nekk di present dafa dal di utee.
Ok. Jërëjëf.
No, it's just one.
Jërëjëf Buba. Li nga wax set na te dinaa si try pour respond properly. Wax naa fi ne projects yu nekk di dem on recently yu nekk di dem on xam naa si lu bari ndig depuis seen procurement bi fu mu dooree ba ñoo jox gaay contracts yi xam naa si dara te projects yooyu noonu laa liimoon ne bokk na si bloc ak Kuinala Kuntaya ak di pavilion bu nekk Soma bokk na si tam grass pitch bu nekk Biri stadium ak pavilion si yooyu yëpp bokk nañ si lu xew mooy each of these projects si terms yu nekk si contract bi dafa clair te seen work plan bi tam dafa clair te as far as man am concerned because dama dee follow up report yu dee jógee foofu noonu si consultant bi wone na ne liggéey bi mu ngi dem according to work plan bi yaa ngi understand so am naa yaakaar ne projects yi dinañ ko mën a jekkale based on agreements yuñ am waaye buñ fàtte tam ne at yi yëpp yu passé dëgg la affaire projects moom jànga nañ si lu bari yaa ngi sax te jànga boobu tam dimbale nañu ba lu ñoo defee léegi suñ projects yi dafa xala utee tuuti ak yuñ defoon on sax because yëpp si jànga bi la te war naa leen fii tam ne soo gisee ñun ñëpp ñu ñëw si affaire si past presidency past leadership yi fédération yi ñëpp am na lu ñu def suñ football am na problème ñu am ak yooyu noonu waaye lu important mooy dañ si jànga lu bari te jànga boobu mooy pour ñu mën a def mu gën a baax going forward so te projects yi tam part of those problems yoo xam ne jànga nañ si lu bari te man am naa yaakaar ne projects yu ma wax ni dinañ am luñ si bugga incha allah su soobee yàlla jërëjëf.
asalaamaaleykum man maa ngi tudd Babacar Sow Laos former captain of the national team déggoon naa ci biir wax ji ñu ne ku dégg olof ku dégg pël ku dégg soose mun naa wax parce que ñun nit ñu ñuul rek a nekk fi te li ma wax ñun ñëpp dinañ ko dégg pour seede Moussa parce que Moussa life am yëpp football la kii maa ngi ko xam time bi moo nekk Nusrat High School because man ku ma xam ci grassroots nga ma xamee muy ba biir Kaama booy su bari dañ daan ñëw ci suma side pour football development grassroots bi ñoo wax nii maa ngi wax early 70s like from mid 70s along suma career man time ma play football tey ñu ngi wax naka lañ ko waxati grassroots football Moussa bi ci grassroots la jógee so may ko doon follow di ko follow ba follow ko Saraba so ma am pour waxa Fisco ne ko am na benn boy bu nekk biir Kaama di play Saraba so noonu lañ ko scouté ñoom Latif yëpp ci loolu lañ leen scouté pour ñu mun a ñëw Walidaan so bi mu ñëwee Walidaan he was a bright player midfield player la woon so life am yëpp football la after ma transfer dëkka how to call it bi mu play Walidaan ba dem Armed Forces man ma transfer dëkka Banjulu Nding bi ma dëkkee Banjulu Nding mu won ma ne ma dafa am nawetaan team bu moo wax Falconz so daf ko register Lamine so Lamine la ne di mi nekkoon di play xam nga ñu ngi Serekunda is non du Serekunda is mu ngi dooree Lamine pour won ne boy bi football am life am yëpp is football so dafa konka Lamine bi mu konkee Lamine mu decide daal fi mu nekk nii xaaral mu jéem a meeso boppam so ci la dem Serekunda is bi mu demee Serekunda is itam ñu bari gis nañ lim fa contribute mu ñëwaat itam bi mu nekkee within the armed forces bi mu retire comme ni mu ko waxee ko jam la woon Walidaan ba pare nekk ko jam at the Gambia armed forces because ñun dañ dem armed forces time bi tiitawoo tukkee mu contact ma jël tiitawoo jël rôle team bi egg force division man all the time su ma amee lu ma naxari dama bàyyi su ma amee lu ma naxari dama bàyyi because life soriwul xëy na ñun ñoo def life yéenay waaye life dafa soriwul so bi ma bàyyee noonu so ci laa noppaleku so I was called by Sol Sow pour Gift Football Academy ci laa dem Gift Football Academy we have developed so many players foofu xëy na boobu another story la waaye ñu ngi ci story Moussa so Moussa itam di nga gis ne with the armed forces daf daan jël players comme ñun niñ daan xalaatee moom mu ñëw di xalaatee noonu booy ku mun Falconz o mu gis la Serekunda is daf laa inject into the armed forces team war na fi ne mu ngi doon jël big players li na yóbbu armed forces dégg la ku mel ni ñoom Sirif Samba loolu yëpp suma time la ak ku mel ni ñoom Lamine Koli ñooñu yëpp we are very good players te Moussa bi moo inspire ñooñu pour ñu dem foofu soo kii suñ ko joxee football yaakaar naa ne mu jëlee ko fi ko ñoom Ibou Faye ñoom Kaba aimé yaakaar naa ne na dem ci kaw because yéen yéen a ngi dégg fi ko Kaba jëlee kii itam bugg a ko yóbbu feneen tu mention nañ fi Sidi Kinte yooyu yëpp xam nga duñ ci mun a wax deliberately because fii mbooloo la te ña loolu ci secret lañ ko wax so may wone ne suñ supporté boy bi with his initiative Gambia dina mun a dem fi nga xam ne moom laa dem ba pare ñun itam dañ war a understand ne our football is growing buñ ko def utukaay soo demee ci yeneen dëkk yi look at Maroc bi moo organise Africa Nation bi ñaata dëkk yu mag ñoo am stadium you know Moussa wenson na loolu tey Basse amul stadium ñun time bi ñoo dem school da ngaa gis ne Hermitage moo doon dominate sports bi in this country. Where is Hermitage now? Where is Georgetown now in Gambian football? Where is Georgetown in Gambian athletics? At least. So comme ni ko Moussa waxee foog government bi support the federation ñu mun a am loolu nañ xam ne ñun Gambia siit buñ grow la mu ngi sax magagut de soo su ñoo nekk di criticize yooyu amul benn njëriñ am na ku ma doon waxal keroog ma ne ko maa ngi si TikTok bi ñu ngi line for now 7 moto ñu ne ñuy ci affaire corruption because Gambia fii corruption rek la ñoo wax 7 moto yu ñu binda FIFA loolu kaba li fi nut loolu FIFA la binda ci moto yooyu yaa ngi gis ne FIFA lañ fa binda ba pare ñu ngi jël di criticize loolu man I am a legend du ma dee wax lu bari I am the most star player in this country nit ñi dañ ma war a déglu ci li ma wax I have developed so many players in this country du ma elaborate ci loolu sax waaye dama woon ne suñ supporté Moussa yaakaar naa ne ak kanam tuuti balaa moo dem di nga gis ne leneen dina ñëw because man maa ngi predict ne dëkk yu bari fii lañ dooree I said it earlier te ñaata players ñoo nekk Casamance di player ci team national team Sénégal bi ñun suñ play mu ngi am 22 kilomètres foofu la suñ football am fii ba biir Kaama la passé wu ko so dañ war a try support ñi nga xam ne ñoo nekk ci système bi te yàlla tax because ñun suñoo def yàlla tax de because ñun li ñoo am kenn mënu ci dara pour aaye ñu ko yooyu li nga am di same thing let's try joxe ñoo xam ne dinañu yóbbul football bi ci kanam ku mel ni Moussa he is the second guy koo xam ne as a player play ci national team bi di lifin pour position bii nii ki ko njëkk a def mooy Ousmane Silla tey soo demee ci FA bi foofu da nga faa gis nataali Ousmane Silla ñeneen ñi yëpp duñ players tudda nañ fi ñu bari ñoom Fisco ñoom docteur Samba yu neem dem am na ñoo xam ne xamuñ sax ne docteur Samba mos naa nekk président de FA ñoom Bio Fofana ñoom Tafa Ngom ñi yëpp they were never players so he is the second guy koo xam ne at least suñ ko joxee support wallahi ting mun naa dem comme ni moo demee ba pare we have to be positive also nañoo positive buñ ko def utookaay ñun fi mu nekk kenn xàmmeetuñu ci football te fekkoon ne yeneen dëkk laa jógee dañ maa jox suma comme ni Moussa ni vétérans yi dañ maa jox suma lifin we have developed so many players so affaire bi laada la nañ alaaw laada bi mu dem ci kaw is Gambia su sa time jeexee nga accept ko xam ne man step bi laa am then life will continue so ban loolu la amoon pour stakeholder si fi nekka pour at least ñu dem a jox Moussa support bi dina jeexal yi comme ni Kaba jeexalee so jërëjëf
jërëjëf captain Laus wax yi rafet na trop am na solo and naa ne initiative bu Moussa di bugg a put in place mooy Legends committee foog naa ne ñu mel ni yow bugg ngeen ci war a gën a deserve loolu fu mu nekk dañoo jox benn contributor rek la ñoo jox then after loolu ñu ñëw ci of course ending yi programme bi.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Sidia Danso, Gambia Armed Forces Logistic Officer. Moussa is my colleague, but anyone who knows me with football. I'm a very keen follower. I think Ebufai knows that very well. We used to compete. I support Real de Banjul, despite I'm a soldier. But football has no boundary, isn't it? Yes. So I know Moussa very well. Due to his commitment and love for football, I have no doubt in him that he will take us to another height. Moussa loves football and is very committed. All right, and then please be assured, if we hand over our football federation to Moussa, we will develop football in this country. The concern I have, and this is a concern for many Gambians, especially football fans. Please, football, I want to believe that the difficulty that we encounter in qualifying our national teams is of not playing in our Gambia here. I am appealing, please. I'm praying for Falconz, all right, for Moussa to win. But if you win, please, help us to play in the Gambia. Help us to play in the Gambia. Team Kaba has done very well. We've been playing in the Gambia. But the break we had really had a very bad effect on our football. Because Gambians are not playing in the Gambia. How can we qualify? If you play in other countries, we realize that despite it's our home game, but the other teams have more supporters than us there. Because imagine you go to play Uganda with another team, and those people have more people in Uganda than Gambians in Uganda. We know we are not been in Uganda. How can our team qualify? How can our team win? We cannot. This, please, I am appealing. I have confidence, and honestly, I have the conviction that you will win. But if you win, please help us to play in the Gambia. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that appeal. And I'm pretty sure with the state of the Independence Stadium right now, very soon, we will be able to play home matches, probably in the next window, right? September. Probably in September, we'll be hosting our games here. And as of now, I will, of course, hand over the mic to the fourth Vice President of Team Falconz, who is no other than Mr. John Mendy, so that he would deliver the vote of thanks. And after that, we'll have a group photo before we disperse and call it a day. John.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremony. Sertian Gay, thank you for anchoring this program very well. The Deputy CDS, the President of the Gambia Football Federation, our able and aspirant candidate, Colonel Musa Yahya Jammeh, the Vice President of the Gambia Football Federation, colleague, executive committee member, all protocols observed. Good afternoon. It's always difficult to give a vote of thanks. Because sometimes when you give a vote of thanks, others will say, you have not mentioned me, or you have not thanked me. First, before I start, I have to thank God for giving us this grace, for giving Team Falconz this grace to be here, for also allowing God to put him in front of us. From there, we thank the GFF President, the Vice President, and the Executive for bringing us thus far. All of us have had the achievements that has been highlighted by the President and the aspirant, the footballer President. If I want to go over them, it will take us the whole day, week, or month. Mr. President, we are saying thank you. Team Kaba, who have struggled since 2014, have built up this foundation of this Team Falconz. It's just they are our parents and we are the children, Team Falconz. All those in Team Kaba has played a big role, whether they are in front, whether we see them, some are at the background, and we saw this wonderful setup that has been done by Team Kaba. So we want to thank Team Kaba, especially we have them, I will thank them later, the Council of Elders. I want you to give them a round of applause for a great job. Thank you. The GFF Secretariat under the leadership of the, I know it's politics, they are not around, under the leadership of General Secretary. We say thank you also for helping Team Kaba to achieve this. The stakeholders who are very important, we are saying thank you for coming. But, it does not end here. We need your votes. We need to put Falconz on that seat to lead Gambian football, to put it to another apex body. Thank you, clubs. Thank you, RFAs. Thank you, allied associations. To the supporters, we have some of them here, as I said, Council of Elders, those who love Team Kaba and have transitioned to Team Falconz. We say Al-Nimbara. Thank you very much. Our sympathizers and our supporters, and many of you are here, though you don't have votes, but you encourage us. Your coming here has made us stronger and getting stronger, and the belief that Team Falconz come 2029 will be ushered into office as the 2020, August 29, I wanted to say, will be ushered in as the new executive of the Gambia Football Federation. The media houses, we are really grateful. We thank you for coming. We thank you for covering us live, because I've received some text that it is some media houses are going on live. We thank you enormously. We thank you gigantically. We thank you very big. Jërë jëf amulen morom. Thank you. The ushers, Willie will say the beautiful ushers. Thank you. Under your leadership, I think they made the day. Anybody who is coming through here, you receive a cap and a warm welcome. That is what Willie is advocating. I don't know where he is, Willie. Thank you very much. We say thank you to the ushers. I think that's what Willie wanted. And Saul, we say thank you to Dwayne Saul for the arrangements also. Give him a round of applause. A share. Thank you, bro. Because I need to also thank individuals. Musa Siye. We say a big bravo to Musa. All this setup from AfriCell. Thank you, Dwayne Musa. Nakeba Abarka. We say thank you to Oasis. They've accorded this place FOC. We can't pay them. Under the dynamic leadership of Willie, wherever you are, we say Jerejef. To the former players, and one has just given a testimony, Koto Laos, extend our appreciation. Wahal Sagaine, you get a Jerejef, ngen Jabaji Timbi, inshallah. August 29, dinañ will Team Falconz into the GFF house. Thank you, Jerejef. On that note, there are special people I need to thank. Alaji Suleiman Juf. I want us to give him a very big round of applause, being a supporter of Team Kaba, transition to a supporter of Team Falconz. Koto, we see your input. Thank you. To Idi, thank you very much. I can't mention all, but all of you are here are very important to Team Kaba. We have just started the journey. We have to see the end. And we know the end of the tunnel will be light, and victory will be ours. On that note, I say in Manjago, Barang. In Serer, I say Jokonyal. In Wof, I say Jerejef. In Mandinka, I say Alabaraka. In Fula, I say Jarama. In Chui, in Ghanaian language, I say Midase. And then finally, in Chinese, I say Shisheni. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have a team photo. I think you rise up and then stand in front of this. We have to move this away, and the background have to be this beautiful portrait of Team Falconz. And then after the high table, we'll have members of the Team Falconz alongside Falconz. Let's have this one first, then. Hey, Jasper. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. All right, go, dog. Right, thank you very much. Let's have now Team Falcon. can have the ushers now.